In this video, we're going to talk about how you can get a CHINS case dismissed in Indiana. My name's attorney Nathan Vining. I'm a family law attorney here in Indiana, and I have a lot of experience dealing with the Department of Child Services and specifically working with CHINS cases and helping families through those. And if you are involved in one, you very likely are wanting to know, how do you get this dismissed? How do you get DCS out of your life so you can move forward as a family together? So what is a CHINS case? CHINS means Child in Need of Services. And ultimately, it occurs when something happens where you end up on the state's radar. A lot of times they involve allegations of child neglect, substance abuse, domestic violence, or some other reason that the state believes the child's endangered. You end up on the state's radar, and then they do an investigation to see, is there abuse or neglect, or do we have concerns? And if they believe there are concerns, that there's some kind of intervention needed, they file a CHINS case, which is basically a process where the courts and the state attempts to help the family do something better, provide for the children in a different way, and help ensure the children are safe. It's almost like it's a process where you're monitored by the court for a bit to see, can you parent the children correctly? So that's what a CHINS case is. And if you're involved in one, you want to know, how do I get DCS in and out of my life quickly? What a lot of times you need to do if you're involved in the CHINS process is first get legal help. An attorney can help in a lot of ways. There's two kind of approaches to a case, and it's important that I talk to you about this because how to get a case dismissed involves one approach, but there's also a different approach. The first approach is just a challenge the case on the facts. In a DCS case, you have a right to a trial within 60 days, and they have to prove whether or not the child in need of services. And you can win those things based on the facts. For instance, they may say there's domestic abuse in the home. You have facts that show there is no domestic abuse in the home, and DCS got it wrong. So you have a right to a trial, or they call it a fact-finding hearing in 60 days. You should hire an attorney, hold them to the standard of proof, and can they prove whether or not the child is a child in need of services or not. But you also can work it another way, and that's through working the case through services. And you can be offered what's known as pretrial services. And services are things that DCS offers to families to essentially help the family. And that can be things like you can do a substance abuse course, you can do therapy. They have home-based case management where a person comes in and meets with you every week to help make sure your home is in order, and things like you have a job, you have transportation, all these kinds of issues. So DCS can put services in place, and if you are involved in a DCS case, they likely want to see you do some kind of services. So when I have a client, I sometimes like to see them cooperate with DCS a little. It can be uncomfortable, but a lot of times if you give them a little, it can give them enough to get to know about your family and back out. One thing I tell people a lot is that these people don't know you. It can go a long way to be nice, get to know them, help them get to know you, to see, hey, there's nothing to see here, let's be on our way. So services can help you do that. And that's one of the keys to get it dismissed. So you want to begin pretrial services. And what that is, if you just do the things that DCS wants you to do, you do them quick, DCS has no reason to be there in the first place. So I call it also remedying the reason for the removal. If they removed based on domestic violence, do some anger management, do a domestic violence class, and just show them that there's no reason for them to be there. And the key is that the fact-finding, you have a right to the fact-finding in 60 days, it looks at present circumstances. So if the reason for removal has been fixed in 60 days, then there are no issues at fact-finding, and a lot of times DCS will dismiss the case. This is what it looks like. Here's something that I saw in one of my cases recently, a petition like this. It's a motion to dismiss CHINS petition, and here DCS is saying, here on point 3, that the circumstances that resulted in the filing the petition alleging the child's a child in need of services have changed, and there's no legal sufficient basis to proceed. That's the key here. You want to work the case on the facts, and that's what you and your attorney will do, but also you want to work it based on, can you just fix the reason that the children were removed? And that is one key way to try and get the case dismissed. So ultimately what that means is the state doesn't need to be involved, and the state doesn't need to coerce any changes to the family. And here's just the case law on that. So if you are involved with DCS, I know it can be a very frustrating process. There's a lot of issues. A lot of times they get involved in your family based on false allegations and wrong information. A lot of times they try and remove the children, so there's placement issues. It's how do you get your child back quickly? What do you do in that situation? I always recommend challenging the removal, trying to get them back with you. And if not with you, get them with family who you at least trust and want them with. There's also issues with responsiveness. They're famous for not getting back to you quickly. And then there's also issues if just getting services in place. So if you're involved with DCS, an attorney can help with all these issues. It can help streamline the process, make sure you get services in place, and also can help you fight any removal of the children. And if you're involved, there's also a lot of things that you can do. I always recommend keeping a journal, documenting everything. If the case manager comes to your house, if a service provider comes to your house, keep a journal, take note of it, of what was said when they came, because that can help. Because like I said, there's a lot of information issues. So they may say, you didn't do X, Y, and Z. You could pull out your journal and point to this day and say, I've been taking this journal throughout the whole case, noting everything I do in this case. On this day, I did these things, and help clear things up so you can make your case for yourself and actually have data to go on. You should also get all records of everything. A lot of times someone comes to hire me, they may not have a copy of the CHINS petition or preliminary inquiry. So be insistent, get your paperwork, have your records, because it can help you help yourself as well as help you hire an attorney to help you. And then also, of a similar vein, get all the contact information for everybody. Get the case manager's name. If there's a DCS attorney on the case, know who the DCS attorney is. Know the key people, so that way you can contact them if necessary. You can have your attorney have their contact information quickly. And then last, another big thing is, if your kids have been removed, immediately get them names of who you want them placed with so they can start doing background checks and getting your children with the trusted family. Like I said, there's a couple approaches to these cases. One is just challenging it based on the facts and evidence. But the other, it's sometimes uncomfortable because it's befriending your enemy, but it's cooperating with DCS to an extent. You want to talk to an attorney to be sure that you cooperate to the proper extent, but it's getting those services in place. So you remedy the reason that the children were removed, and that can ultimately help in achieving a dismissal of the case, because the fact finding looks at present circumstances, and at that time, if there's no reason for the children to be removed, they really can't proceed based on the facts. So if you have questions, give me a call. I'd be happy to review your case. I'll talk to you about what's going on with DCS and what we could do to potentially help the situation. So there's my number, call or text, and thanks for watching.